WrestleMania is just a few weeks away, and we've been gone over a year, but we're back. We're going to be talking about the card that's already been announced and our predictions for future matches and maybe what's going to happen after WrestleMania. Let's go. March 4th, 2023. Welcome back to the Figure 4 podcast. My name is Doug. As I said in the intro, we're going to be talking about WrestleMania. It's just a few weeks away. Donald's coming on the show. We're going to discuss what matches they already have announced and the matches we think they might announce that they haven't already, and then possible feuds down the road after WrestleMania. It's going to be a great show. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's get to it. So, this is what I got. So they haven't released very many matches yet, which is surprising considering it's only a couple of weeks away.
Yep.
But they got, okay, so obviously the championship match is Roman and Cody. Now listen, I watched Cody in AEW when I was really into AEW. I get it. He left the WWE. He went on his own. He was in the independents, made a huge star of himself in AEW. And now he's like this walking icon. I'll be honest, I don't get the appeal with Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that he wants to bring back the Winged Eagle if he wins the championship, but I don't understand why. I just don't get it. The crowd loves him. I don't get it. I can't wrap my head around him being world champion, and I don't think he's going to beat Roman Reigns for the title. I just don't.
See, I'm kind of on the same board with you. Like, I get it. Like, he gets a pop out of the fans. Like,
yes,
I didn't know. I mean, and we talked about this, by the way. The last time that we did one of these was December 18th of last year. So it's been a little while. I only know that because I looked it up on my phone whenever I was getting ready to call you. But, I've never watched any of his stuff prior. I never really paid much attention to wrestling. We've talked about this, up until probably the last year, maybe 2 years. So when he was teaming up with Dustin and he was Stardust and all, like, whatever, I mean, I don't know much of his past. I like the fact that he's coming back and, he's wanting to make the push for the dream and, honoring his dad, honoring his family and all this kind of stuff. I don't know how he got over, or he got to the point where he's on the verge of getting over. Like, we haven't seen anything.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
We haven't seen anything that would say, okay, this is justified. Is there anyone on the roster right now that, if Roman is going to drop the belts, or even one belt, and I've got a few different working theories with him in the bloodline here that we'll talk about. If he's going to drop the belts, I honestly don't see anyone on the current roster that could run with it. He's played the heel for so long,
and he's done an excellent job of it.
Oh, he's worked the crowd.
Like, I want to see him get his ass kicked every week and every pay-per-view, but he always winds up winning. If you can make me to the point where it's, Jesus Christ, I'm fucking done with this asshole, and he keeps winning and he keeps me hating him. Like, I like him as a heel, but I hate him at the same time. He's doing his job.
Yeah. Now, the thing that I've noticed, okay, we're leading up to WrestleMania, the whole bloodline thing. It's been over 900 days that he's been WWE champion, at least holding one of the belts. What drives me nuts is he's almost a modern day Hogan. He has a punch.
It's a big punch.
It's a big punch. He has a spear. And that's pretty much it. Like, he's not a technical wrestler.
No, he's not. He never was.
And you get some of the guys like, okay, Cody, he can bounce around the ring. He can wrestle you on the mat. He can be a sort of a high flyer. He's got a little bit of everything. So the reason that I want him to win is so that, okay, Roman, we're done with that storyline. The bloodline, it's run its course. I just want to see it gone. Is it likely going to happen? I won't be surprised if Roman retains. I really won't be.
I won't either. Now, you were talking about how you don't see anyone on the current roster that could take that belt and run with it. I'll be honest with you. Excuse me. There's one guy. Seth Rollins used to be that guy, but they kind of made his character a jerk. So,
Hmm.
but I only see one guy, and that's Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens could take that belt and do something with it, or both belts, or however the hell they're going to work it. I don't know. There's rumors that they could be split, but who knows? This it changes from day to day. But I think Kevin Owens could take that belt, but I just don't think he's going to take it at WrestleMania. I can't see why, and there's nothing leading up past WrestleMania for Cody except maybe a couple of return matches with Roman.
Yeah.
But that's about it. He doesn't really have a feud with anyone else. It's been completely, well, maybe Seth Rollins for a little bit, but again, Seth Rollins isn't even in the title picture.
Yeah, I mean, him and Seth, they had their thing. What was it last? Was it last year at WrestleMania?
Well, it's been over the last few months, and then Cody got hurt, tore
Yeah,
his pec and all that stuff, and they were just kind of bantered back and forth. They had a couple of matches, but again, if you put the belt on Cody, you got a few return matches with Roman. Maybe you throw an Uso or two in there. But he doesn't really have a history with anyone there that would be in the title picture unless they're just going to start completely from scratch. Throw a guy like, I don't know, Omos in there for the title picture, which obviously wouldn't win because Cody's got to get over and he's got to have somewhat of a reign. But it doesn't make sense to me if it goes that route.
now I saw something on Instagram probably about a month ago or so. I can't remember if it was Fightful that had posted it, but before the Rumble and before they were going to go in the direction of Cody and Roman, it was rumored that Roman was going to main event both nights of WrestleMania and he was going to lose one belt each night. Now, keep in mind again, that was before the Rumble.
Yeah.
Cody comes back at the Rumble and he punches his ticket. I do, he enters at 30, and I'm not saying that I wanted to see like someone like Gunter or someone that entered the Rumble earlier. I wouldn't have mind seeing Rollins because him and Reigns, they do have a history where they used to be in the Shield.
Yep.
I don't know if Seth Rollins could beat him because Roman is the typical McMahon project, the big muscles, the superior being in the ring, like the monster.
He's John Cena 2.0.
Yeah, but I mean, if I'm looking at like going into Mania, if I'm looking at the roster, I can kind of understand. I can kind of understand the direction that they're going in with Cody, but at the same time, like, just give me something more. Like, why was he getting this push?
Yeah.
Um, Now you kind of started that off. I wanted to get into all that stuff later on, but just to kind of sum it up, I guess, with Cody and Roman, I honestly can't pick a winner. I won't be surprised if Roman walks out with holding belts. I'll be happy if Cody ends it because I'm getting tired of Roman. He can't fight his own fights. He needs to have somebody in the ring. When the Usos couldn't make it over to Clash at the Castle, Solo shows up. Like I'm getting tired of that. I'm getting tired of the Bloodline story.
And you
I
know
think
what's funny though? That was the Horsemen back in the day. Flair couldn't retain the championship without Arn and Tully, and whether it was Ole or Barry
yeah,
Windham or whoever was with them, and that's what that faction kind of reminds me of. But I do, the Horsemen did it a little bit better.
yeah.
Now it's just expected that the Bloodline's going to come out and help them. But I get where you're coming from. It's the same old, same old. We get it. We got to change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go next?
Um. Okay, so this isn't an official match yet, but I went digging online, and apparently it's going to be made official. Last week on Raw kind of solidified that for me. Rollins and Logan Paul.
Oh yeah, that's a given.
That's going to happen. Now, I kind of jotted down a few ideas. Um, I won't be surprised. Now, he's burned his bridges with WWE before. Hunter can't stand him, and I'm talking about CM Punk, where he has recently called out both Logan Paul and Punk on social media that, although they're two different people, they both kind of, they're selfish, that they don't really care about the business. I wouldn't be surprised to see CM Punk show up and that match turns into a schmozzle. If it's strictly one-on-one, I think Rollins will actually beat him. I'm not a fan of Logan Paul. I think when he first came in and he was jumping all over the place and being a high flyer, okay, cool. What he did at the Royal Rumble with Ricochet, that midair collision that was phenomenal.
That was absolutely insane.
How he's been leading up to like Elimination Chamber, and now he's being a dick. Like where did that storyline come from? I know his social media personality is a dick. I mean, he's a dick anyway. But where was the transition from when he first came in to now? It doesn't make any sense.
I think he's such a part-timer that he can basically come in. He comes in, then he goes out. He comes in, and he goes out. I think it's whatever the flavor of the month is and what kind of opponent they can have for him. Like if they find a face for him, okay, we'll make you a heel. Like it was whenever him and Miz had their little 5-minute cup of tea thing there for a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know what? I will say this about Logan Paul. For a guy that's only had a handful of matches, the dude is good. He's not bad. He's in good shape. He's not scared of shit. Like I don't mind him, but
Go back to that midair collision, man. He's not afraid to put his body on the line.
No, he'll go out and and again it goes back to he's only had a handful of matches, but he sells better than guys that have been doing this 10 years.
Oh yeah.
I find. Like I said, look at that midair collision alone. Yep. The guy can sell, he can give. And he's got some charisma. You got to give him credit for that, but it's going to happen. And I think if anyone is going to make him look good, it's going to be Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins will make that guy look good, and I'm hoping there's going to be another midair collision because that was just friggin' awesome.
That was I still can't believe, like I've watched that over and over. I don't know how many times, and I'm still just like, how in the hell did they get the air, and how did they like manage to launch themselves into the middle of the ring? Like that's not an easy feat.
Even Adrian jumped out of her chair when she saw that. She thought they were both like legit hurt, not getting up. That's it, it's over type thing.
Yep.
I got one for you here now. Again, this is a match that has already been announced. Brock Lesnar versus Omos.
Okay.
I don't know where to begin with this. It's not going to be pretty. It's just going to be strict power, high impact. I think Lesnar is going to really, really, really try to do his German suplexes to Omos, and it's just going to look like crap because I don't think Lesnar is strong as an ox, but he can't just pick Omos up and throw him like he did. It's not like throwing John Cena. Yeah. This dude is like 400 pounds. And I don't think Omos has the dexterity or the timing to get those things down. So I think Suplex City is going to be few and far between. This is an attraction match, and I just don't think it's going to be very good at all. And I don't think it's going to go long. I think you might see this match go 8 minutes, maybe 9, and that'll be it. But I can see Omos winning.
See, when it comes down to, okay, now I'm gonna kind of compare the two different types of wrestling. So Lesnar would, like, he competed in like Olympic Greco, university. He competed in that U.S. championships and all this kind of stuff. You can't take that kind of a wrestler and expect him to be what you would expect a traditional wrestler that has come up through the ranks of WWE, WCW. It doesn't work. This match, and I've seen this posted online, it's not 100% confirmed, but this match has Vince McMahon written all over it.
Oh, it's all McMahon.
You've got two muscle-bound freaks, because that's what McMahon is all about. He's not a fan of the technical wrestling. He wants to see the two biggest slug it out. There's not going to be wrestling in this. It's just going to be a brawl. Like you said, it's going to be power versus power. At most, I can see it maybe 10 minutes. at most.
Yeah, it won't be long.
And I think you're right. I think Omos is taking this one because I saw something online this morning whenever I got up that Lesnar's getting ready to call it. He's getting ready to hang him up or at least move on from WWE. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. It's just what someone is suspecting. But I won't be surprised if they use Lesnar to put Omos over in this case.
Well, he's no spring chicken either. Geez, he's got to be late 40s for sure. Lesnar, I could be wrong, but I would say he's got to be. Geez, he's been wrestling since 2000. And I think he was 19, 20 years old then when he first came into WWE or down in OVW or whatever the hell they had. He's around the same age as John Cena and Randy Orton, so he's got to be. So for him to be wrapping it up with WWE, I can see that because the shine is kind of off, or however that saying goes.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the big attraction that he was, and he hasn't been since him and Paul Heyman kind of split ways. So it wouldn't surprise me if he called it a career in WWE, and maybe 6 months down the road or a year, whenever it is, he signs a 1-2 year contract with AEW, gets another big payday because it's a whole new bowl of wax down there. Yep. And then I think by then he's going to be 50 and he's got to be done. He's got to be done. I mean, he's in great shape and he still moves around well, but Father Time catches up with all of us.
Oh, absolutely.
What do you got next?
Well, I'm actually going to backtrack just for a second if I can, and this kind of goes back on Heyman. So if you look at the last two heavyweight champions, Lesnar and Roman,
yep,
where the belts go, Heyman goes. If Cody is to beat Reigns, I saw something again. It's just what someone had mentioned online, that there's some talk that if that does happen at Mania, that he does end up taking the belts, there is going to be a heel turn, and don't be surprised if Heyman again follows where the gold is going. It wouldn't surprise me. I just don't see them turning Cody heel, at least not so soon.
No, and I don't see him being a heel. It would be different, just because again it goes back to AEW, and since he came back, and it would be a different heel turn.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe he'd do it a good job. Maybe he'd knock it out. I don't know, but yeah. I could see that happening, because especially after the way Heyman talked to him last week.
Yeah.
To kind of make a switch and go with Cody if he did win the championship. What would happen to the island of relevancy then? I ask you, sir. Now.
Okay, so that was my back pedal. So the one that I want to hit you with now. Now this I've thought about this pretty much since this morning whenever I started jotting down my notes for this. The tag titles.
Mm-hmm.
This ball of wax could go in one of many different directions, but I've got a few theories for this. It's going to be the Usos versus Owens and Sammy.
I had that written down as well.
Now, so hear me out. Okay. So the Usos lose the tag straps possibly before WrestleMania, and Roman makes both of them fight each other. So that's one theory that I have. The other one, Jay leaves the Usos, joins up with Sammy and Owens, making Solo step in to defend belts with Jimmy. A schmozzle happens at the end. Jay turns on Owens and Sammy. Bloodline retain. Faction continues. That's. Yep. I can see it. I don't want to see it. The only other thing that I could see would be they keep the belts going into WrestleMania, and that's when Owen and Sammy end up beating them.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's like you said, that can go in so many different directions. And I agree with all of it. I've thought of all that too. But then I got thinking, what if this whole thing is just a rouge? There's still a possibility, and I'm just throwing this out there, Sammy is still in the bloodline. I think this could all just be a big setup. Look at the trauma, or not the trauma, look at all the goings on right now between the Usos and Solo and Sammy, and Roman's not really saying anything about Sammy.
No.
He's more concerned about Jay. So I don't know. I think this is all a setup. I think at WrestleMania, he helps Roman and keeps the tag titles, and he's no longer going to be an honorary Us. He's going to be a full on, it's going to be Sammy Uso, and he's going to be welcomed into the family completely, because the way that whole thing unraveled with Sammy and the bloodline, it happened too quick. It was just kind of like 1 minute, okay, well, like we're kind of arguing, then the next minute, okay, we're going to kick the crap out of you because you wouldn't beat Kevin Owens with a chair. To me, it just ended too quick. I just have a feeling it's all a setup. I think Sammy could still be part of the bloodline, and he's just, it's an angle, it's a work, and then at WrestleMania, he's going to prove that he's still in the bloodline. Maybe.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It happened too quick, and it almost seemed too obvious, too.
Yes, it was very obvious.
Go back to when Seth Rollins turned on Roman Reigns in the Shield. You know, the chair shot in the ring with Roman had his back turned to him. It was very reminiscent of that.
It was, yes.
When Sammy did that. Yeah, I think it happened too quick, and it was just way too obvious. I thought it was. Rhea and Charlotte.
Yeah.
So my thought on that is I think Charlotte, I honestly don't think her heart is in the business as much as it used to be. And Rhea is getting a pretty big pop from the crowd now. I won't be surprised if Rhea beats Charlotte. She goes on her own, and I think if she ends up taking the women's title, I think she's at a Judgment Day. I don't think she needs the faction. I think she can carry her own. I think she's great in the ring. I think it's her time now to take that title and run with it.
Yeah, she's walking away with that championship. It's going to be, Charlotte's going to try to make it a wrestling match. Rhea's not going to allow that to happen. Charlotte's going to get her technical stuff in a couple of high flying spots in here and there. Rhea's just going to make this all about power. Excuse me. Yep. And she's going to, she'll walk out with that championship. Now, I do agree with you that she doesn't need that faction, but I think what the whole point of that faction is, they've actually gotten a little bit better. I hated them the first few months they were there, but I think the whole point of it was just because Finn Balor is such a journeyman.
Yep.
I think it was just a way for maybe him to kind of mentor her and the big guy. I can't think of his name right now.
Oh, Priest.
Yeah, Damian Priest. And now you got Dominic in there, and I hated him. I can't stand him, but I kind of like him now. I kind of like him now. Man. You're not going to like what mommy does. And the whole thing, like, do you know what would happen to you if you were in prison like me? Like, I get a kick out of it now. And if he keeps going the way he's going, I'd love to see him turn into Eddie Guerrero, because I think he'd make an excellent Eddie Guerrero. But yeah, I don't think she needs the faction. I think it's a matter of time before she leaves. And I think it's just a matter of time before the faction folds itself, period. But yeah, she'll be on her own soon enough. And she's going to be carrying that championship for a long time in the women's division.
Yep.
What do you got next?
Kind of sticking with the women's division. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. Asuka and Bianca. Bianca's winning this match. Asuka, although I personally, I got a big appreciation for how she carries herself in the ring. I think she's a great athlete.
Yep. I
don't see them putting the strap on her.
They call her the Queen of Strong Style, and she is good. I love the new paint she's got.
Oh, yeah, it's
amazing.
It's
trippy. It looks really good. She's kind of in the middle of reinventing herself, I think. Yeah. And it's good. Now, that match, I don't know. I can't, for me, it's flip a coin, Bianca started off. I'm always a big fan of Bianca Belair, but it seems like she's kind of lost a little juice the last little while. She's kind of walking around with the championship, and Asuka almost just seems like she's been reborn again. She's elevating bigger and bigger and bigger every week, every time she's on television. If I had to pick without flipping a coin, I'm going see, it's so hard to say. I'm going 60-40 Asuka. I'm going to say Asuka's going to win the championship if I had to pick, but I won't be surprised if Bianca Belair retains the title. I like them both. I really, really appreciate them both, and I think it's going to be an awesome match.
See, now I saw something online, was it yesterday, that they didn't really understand why Rhea didn't pick Bianca because Asuka had a history with Charlotte. I think it was Charlotte that beat her for the title, if I'm not mistaken.
But Rhea also lost to Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania.
Right.
So there's a little bit of a backstory there. So it's a pretty easy storyline to just continue. I'm actually surprised how Rhea, that girl's changed herself 2 or 3 times in the few short years she's been in WWE. Like, this is kind of, she scares me, and not in a good way. Like, take some of the makeup off and she could scare me in a good way. But no, her and Charlotte, man, I'm looking more forward to the Bianca and Asuka match than I am the Charlotte and help me out. Jesus, Rhea. Jesus, I guess I had too many beer. that match isn't going to be as good as the other.
Answer me this. So Rhea wins. She takes one strap. Whatever happens between Asuka and Bianca, I mean, if it's Bianca, she walks out with the belt. If it's Asuka, what do they eventually try to unify those? Do you think?
I don't think so. I think they're going to stay with the brands. There'd be no reasoning to unify the titles right now. If you were going to have a unification and you had a battle or a storyline that lasted, say, 4 or 6 months, and it started with Rhea and it started with Charlotte and each one had a title, then you might have a reason for a storyline to say, okay, well, let's just see who the better champion is and unify the titles. Right. That I could see. But for Bianca or Asuka to come out of there with a championship and Rhea's in the wing, they'll keep the championships on their own brands, I think, anyway. I can't see them not unifying them anytime soon, anyway.
Right.
Now, I wanted to ask you, where are we at here? We talked about Sammy, and I think it's all a setup. The Intercontinental title has not been announced that it's going to be defended yet. Gunther, man, I have to give him credit. He impressed me in the Royal Rumble, lasting as long as he did. But what's going to happen with that Intercontinental title? It's obvious that Drew McIntyre is probably going to get the title shot, but I think Sheamus might be in there some way too. So I'm going to say that Intercontinental Championship match is going to be a triple threat. There's been nothing talked about. It hasn't been. It just seems like the Imperium or whatever the hell they call themselves. It's always involved with McIntyre and Sheamus, always. So I don't know. I just think that Intercontinental title match is going to wind up being a triple threat match because you can't not defend the title at WrestleMania. You have to defend it.
I'm glad you brought this one up. I've got a bit of a working theory off of this one too, and I hope to God that I'm wrong. I like what you said about McIntyre and Sheamus. I think both would make good as a new champ. I don't see Gunther walking out of WrestleMania with it. I think one of those two are gonna win it. It's gonna suck because I like them as a tag team.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind seeing them make a run for the tag titles. But, I mean, looking at how things have been shaping up, and I hope to God I'm wrong about this, man, you said you see this as a triple threat. I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out to be a fatal four-way, and somehow or another, for whatever reason, they throw LA Knight in the scene.
Oh
I
God, I hope not.
after what went down last night on SmackDown, and they had, you know, Jesus, the New Day was in there, and like fucking LA Knight shows up, and he's like, I deserve a title shot and all this kind of shit too. I can't stand him. I hate his personality. I don't think he's a good wrestler.
No, he tries way too hard. Like, he just, you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Sasha Banks. And I used to take a lot of shit because I was just like, well, she just go away. She's not that. She sucks. She had absolutely no mic skills. She wasn't horrible in the ring, but she wasn't good either. Yeah. And that's what that LA Knight reminds me of. He just tries too hard to be something that he's not.
And
there's no heart in it.
That's saying that he has, like, after he finishes addressing the crowd, yeah. It's like, did you just like, do you feel good about yourself now that you just took a deuce? Like,
yeah, Timmy. I'd rather him do the Timmy. Like, yeah.
But I mean, I saw something online too, and I'm kind of leaning in that direction too, about it being a triple threat. Won't be surprised if that's the case. I hope I'm wrong that they keep LA Knight off the card. He's not WrestleMania material. They've got way better performers that they could run with, in whether it's this matchup if they want to make it a fatal four-way, or if they want to include another match altogether. There's way too much other good material that they could run with, as opposed to including him in a title fight. Whether it's the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title, Jesus, I mean, even if it was a 24/7 title, he doesn't deserve a shot.
No, he'll be, if he's on anywhere, I think he'll be on the pre-show. They usually, the last few years, they have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I could see him being thrown in there, and he's not going to last very long. But, yeah, he doesn't deserve it. If they have a pre-show, put him on the pre-show. I just don't want to see him. You mentioned the U.S. title. What do you think of Austin Theory and the job he's doing so far?
I mean, I know it. No, it's an in-ring persona. I get it. I can't stand the guy. Good wrestler. He is a good wrestler.
Yeah. Don't
get me wrong. Like he can be a high flyer. He can be a technical guy. He can be a power wrestler too. I mean, he picked up, who was it at Elimination Chamber? The big Aussie. Put him up on his shoulders. I can't remember the guy's name. And he struggled, but he managed to get up on his feet with this 350-pound, almost 400-pound monster on his back. The guy's, I mean, he's strong, man.
I've talked to people about him, and he reminds me, of, I mean, not looks-wise or anything like that, or persona, but it's like the path he's taking and the success he's getting. It's like he reminds me of John Cena when John Cena was young, but he's being pushed a little bit faster than John Cena had been.
I see that.
And I think he's going to be the next John Cena. I think in the next, he's not very old. I'd say he's 24, 25 years old. I say in the next 5 years, he's going to be the face of the company. That wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
Now, who do you think he's defending that U.S. title on? I didn't see it on SmackDown last night if they talked about, I don't think they've announced a match. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think they did. A U.S. title match?
It hasn't been finalized yet. But think about this. Who's coming back Monday night in Boston on Raw?
John Cena.
Cena.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Cena in theory for the title. That's my prediction. Obviously, there's nothing. We haven't seen anything for me to actually have that idea, but I'm like, Cena's coming back. He's not full time, but I mean, he's had one or two matches within the last year.
Yeah, he's coming. He shows up every now and then.
He's part time. Do they put the belt on Cena? No. I think the U.S. title is going to be on Theory for a little while. But I think that's going to be a good match.
Yep, if it happens. And you know what? I can see it because he's made references to John Cena off and on over the last month, 2 months.
Yep.
So yeah, and I could see that being, and I think John Cena would let him call the match. I think
Oh,
Cena would
absolutely.
give him the reins and say, "All right, kid, make me look good,"
Yep.
because he did that years ago when Kevin Owens came from NXT.
Yep.
Kevin Owens made John Cena look like he could have a good match. Those matches with Kevin Owens and John Cena were absolutely incredible. And I think Theory can do that. I don't think he's fully there yet, but I think if that match happened, Cena would give him a long rope and
Hmm.
say, "Let's go, kid, call it. Make me look good. Please make me look good."
Yeah.
Jesus, got to make him look better than that hair. Did you see that John Cena's hair? I thought mine was going. Holy Christ, he's starting to. I don't know how the older you get, the more you look like Ernest P. Worrell. It's
I was just gonna.
absolutely incredible and disturbing at the same time. Oh my my. So what do you think? So Miz is hosting WrestleMania.
Yep.
What does he have to do to change his character? Because it's not working. He's not wrestling. They put him on Miz TV. I mean, he's if there's ever a guy in need of a facelift or a new coat of paint or paint of coat, as Jim Ross would say, what do you got to do? What does he have to do? I mean, let's face it. The guy is a two-time WWE champion. He's had tag titles. He's had intercontinental titles, and he's not a horrible wrestler. He's actually pretty good in that ring, but he's boring. It's the same old thing over and over. What does he got to do to change so he's not the fucking host of WrestleMania?
Honestly, man, I mean, I look at Miz. He's almost more so for like comedic relief at this point.
Yeah,
Like the Miz TV where Rollins showed up wearing those stupid big red boots and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I got such a kick out of that. I laughed the entire segment, and then when Rollins stomped him,
It was good.
started, jump, started jumping around the ring looking like Super Mario wearing those goddamn boots for Christ's sake. Um, I don't know, man. I mean, like when he first came into WWE off of the Real World, he was a host. That's exactly what he was brought in to do. He was brought in to
Yep,
get the crowd going.
and he was terrible.
He was terrible. Now transition to where he's at now. I, again, I think it's more comedy relief than anything. Like he's it's funny when he gets the shit beat out of him. No one can take him seriously.
No.
Like he doesn't have a beef with anybody going back to Logan Paul. You know, whenever he first came in, him and Miz had a little bit of a I don't even want to call it a feud because Logan didn't really stick around much after that.
No.
But like there's no one that you can actually get any heat with to like coincide with Miz. Like and maybe there is. I'd have to look at the roster and see like okay, how does he wrestle? Who would pair good with him? Like what would be a good storyline? And right off the hop, I honestly can't think of anybody. I think you're right. I think it's time that Creative and Triple H, I think they basically say, listen, man, this ain't working. Like
Well,
we got to
you
we want to
like you said, he came out and he got curb stomped by Super Mario. Who's gonna want to wrestle him and try to further their career and go up that championship ladder, fighting a guy that got curb stomped by Mario? Like, and that's just basically the running joke of the WWE. And it's just, and maybe he's comfortable with that. I'm sure he's getting paid a hell of a lot more than what we're getting to just do comic relief and stuff like that. And like you say, he is a good host and stuff. I just think it's too bad that he's not on the actual card, and that might change too. You never know. It's still early and they're not really announcing anything. Like as of now, there's 4 or 5 confirmed matches,
I think
and they're not telling anything else. So anything can happen, I guess. Is Vince McMahon still pulling the strings in the back since he's come back?
see. I'm going to go back a couple of months ago. I'm going to go back to probably around Survivor Series. That like you could actually start to see like some of the stuff that Creative had previously had written down. You could tell that okay, this is the end of this storyline. This is where Triple H is, implementing. This is where he's putting his fingerprint on the company, on the brand. You could tell there was a shift. Since McMahon has been back, I don't know.
I think officially right now, Triple H is still in control. On paper, he's still the head of creative as of now. But you got to think, with McMahon being his father-in-law, he's still got to be pulling strings somehow.
Oh God, you know that. And Omos versus Lesnar, that's proof right there.
That's all McMahon, absolutely.
100%. Now, is Triple H the one that would step up and say, well, this is what I had planned for this guy. This is what I had planned for Seth Rollins. This is what I had planned for this guy. And Vince is going to say, well, I don't like that.
Goddamn, pal.
Is Triple H going to be the kind that would say, well, no, this is what I've already worked out with the stars. This is what we're going with. And I mean, if McMahon says, well, it's my company, does Triple H have the stones? Does he have the authority to go up against McMahon?
Like I said, he's still on paper, legally, I believe he's still the head of creative. I believe that the investors are going to back him 100% because McMahon might be back in there, but I don't think he has any legit power over creative. I'm going to say, I could be completely wrong with that, but I don't think, I mean, like you said, he might put ideas in Triple H's head. Goddamn, pal, I've been here around. My balls are bigger than yours, and I've been around 78 years, and, God damn it, give me a match. I think that Omos and Lesnar is just an idea that McMahon threw out there, and it is a good idea. Put the two monsters together and let them go. But I think Triple H would definitely give that to McMahon and say, all right, you map it out. You see how you want to do it. Goddamn, pal, I was going to anyway. That's typical Vince McMahon. But I don't think Triple H would sit back and say, oh yeah, okay, Dad, we'll do this and we'll do that, especially when he still has all the power. Now, there's been nothing, as far as I know, McMahon just kind of put himself back in there, but he doesn't actually have an official role. As far as creative or anything like that, he's still the head of the company, but he doesn't have an actual title as far as creative goes. But I can't see Triple H just bending over and taking a dry and doing whatever McMahon told him. But I found it weird that once he came back, Stephanie was gone. Like, she left WWE completely, put in her resignation. What's that?
It was pretty much within a day, like a 24-hour period.
It was shortly after. I don't know the exact time, but she has nothing to do with WWE anymore. So maybe the old man is trying to overstep his boundaries. Maybe him and Triple H are butting heads and she didn't want to listen to it anymore. Because Stephanie still had, I believe she was handling some of the day-to-days and she was still involved with creative too, as well. Right. So maybe Triple H and McMahon were butting heads and she couldn't take it anymore because, it's her father and her husband. Who knows? We'll never know. But as far as I know, he has no official title aside from being the head of the company. And like you said, I think that Lesnar match is all McMahon, but that's Triple H saying, all right, you do that match. You tell us what you want to do with that, because it does kind of make sense. They had nothing for Brock anyway. So it kind of did make sense.
See, Brock and Lashley, though, like they've had a working history for the last couple of months. So when they started bringing in Omos, I'm like, where is this coming from? Like,
I think it had to do with the United States Championship as well, with Austin Theory, because Theory and Lashley had a thing going for that U.S. title too.
Yeah.
So maybe that's another direction they're thinking too, because that kind of stopped too between Lashley and Lesnar.
Yeah.
It was just kind of squashed.
That's what I'm talking about, because it was only maybe 2 weeks ago when Lesnar was like, Bobby, you get out here and you sign this contract.
Yep.
And so I'm like, okay, so this is another match we're going to have for WrestleMania. And then it fizzled out.
Yep.
And I was sitting there and I was saying to Tara, I'm like, I don't know where Omos comes into this. Like, they have no history.
Yeah.
This is just a brute against a brute for the sake of it. I don't know.
So what else do you got for me?
Let me see. Let me see. Well, I wanted to bring up a few storylines that I'm hoping that WrestleMania is going to be the end of them. Now, I don't want to get all negative and all that kind of shit, but it's just I find some of these storylines that I'm going to rhyme off. I find they've run their course. It's time to go in another direction, whatever that direction that is. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not on the creative team, but from a fan standpoint, these are some of the storylines that I hope come to an end at WrestleMania. First off, Ray versus Dom.
Yes.
This has to be ended one way or another. It's run its course. This has been going on since what, last summer now?
Yeah, it's getting old.
And
It's getting
Dom
very old.
Dom just constantly getting in Ray's face, hit me, and nothing happens at it. And Ray's just like, I'm torn. Like, I can guarantee if that was my kid, I'd be putting his fucking jaw on the other side of his mouth.
But again, makes you mad enough to keep tuning in every week. I get what you're saying, but they're doing their job.
This is true. I mean, again, I'm tired of the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
It either needs to take a different direction, because the last couple of weeks it's just been the exact same stuff.
Yeah.
And this one really has to come to an end. I don't know who. It's Edge versus Finn Balor or Balor. That's what I read online. Possibly Edge versus Priest to end their feud with the Judgment Day. This has been going on longer than a year.
Completely agree.
Between Edge and them. Okay, they've had some good matches. I'm not a fan of Finn Balor. I think he looks like a pissed off version of the dude on the box of Lucky Charms. He's an angry leprechaun. That's all that I can call him. I think Edge and Priest have had some good goes. But my problem with Edge is that I find when he gets in the ring with any of them, it's just a brawl. There's no wrestling. It's there's a spear here, and then someone piles on someone else and punches are thrown, and then they get separated, and then it's, hold me back. I'm getting tired of it.
Yep, I agree completely.
And the whole jumping someone from behind and and it's mostly the Judgment Day that does that to Edge and his wife. I'm getting tired of the storyline. It's the same thing again every single week in, week out. So those are the two that I'm kind of hoping that we see the end of. Lashley and Bray Wyatt are supposedly going to be going down.
I don't know what to think. WWE, excuse me, WWE dropped the ball with Bray Wyatt 4 or 5 years ago. They had a wicked character, and they blew it. They still don't know what to do with this guy. It's the same thing as they've been doing the last 4 or 5 years. Okay, he's mysterious. He's blah, blah, blah. He's crazy. There's nothing changing. When he first came back and he was talking all this real shit, like, I thought, okay, they're finally doing something with this character. Like, he's going to be like a crazy guy that could be a modern day Jake the Snake Roberts almost type thing.
A mindfuck.
Yes. And then they go right goddamn back to Pee-wee's Playhouse or whatever the hell it's called. The Firefly Fun fucking Factory, whatever it is. And it didn't work the first time. It didn't work the second time. And now you're going right back to it again. That would be a good match. Kind of. But again, that's going to be just another match that's just pure brute power, if it happened. Lashley is fast for a big dude.
Yep.
He's pretty agile. So is Bray Wyatt, but neither one of them are good wrestlers.
No, if that match goes off, it's filler. Like I think it's going to be a match to have a match. Maybe they build off of it going into like maybe SummerSlam or something. I don't know. But looking at this, Just, if that is actually added to the card 100%, it's just a filler. It's just a fill time.
I think they used to call it. I'm not going to do it the dishonor of calling it a popcorn match, but it's it's a few levels above. Popcorn match is where, all right, throw these guys in the ring and let people go to the concessions,
Right.
buy some stuff.
So now I'm going to go back a couple of weeks ago on Raw. Now, and the reason, and actually these next two, I guess, groups that I'm bringing up, it's dealing with the women's division. And the reason that I brought these up is because we've only got two matches of the women's division on the card so far.
Yeah.
At least that that they're going to happen. And it actually kind of surprised me that there weren't, considering how deep the women's division is. It kind of surprised me that there haven't been more rumored women's matches. So the first one that I've got here, and I'd mentioned I was going to go back a few weeks ago on Raw. So the night that Lita showed up, and it was just Lita, it was originally supposed to be Trish Stratus and Lita showing up to help Becky.
Right.
Triple H decided to pull the plug on that last minute, and Trish did not go out. She actually left before Lita even hit the ring.
Really?
Now we've got Becky and Lita as the defending women's tag champions. They're saying throw Trish in there for a three-way tag match with Damage Control. Now, one of the ones from Damage Control, I can't remember what her name is, but apparently she was nursing a knee injury, and that was rumored to be the reason that they dropped the tag straps to Becky and Lita. But if they're going to go with the full Damage Control against those three, I don't know. I think that would be a good match. I mean, it still surprises me though that if Triple H did pull Trish from Raw and making that a three-way, like what was even the point of bringing Trish back into the fold that night?
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, when you look at it like that, it doesn't make any sense. It really, really doesn't. I'm glad you brought up injuries too, because I totally forgot about this. There are rumors that Ronda Rousey is hurt, that she suffered a legit injury to whether it's her arm or her shoulder or whatever. Now she had gone out, I guess, in a sling or something like that, and people were saying that it was a work or something. But now that's the rumor that she really is hurt, but it's not confirmed, but it's not denied either.
Right.
Which would be kind of shitty because Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania is, well, it's a big deal. It's always a big deal.
It's funny that you bring her up because her and Shayna Baszler, they were actually part of the next group that I was going to bring up.
They're a good team. They're a wicked team.
Now, I mean, you've got Liv, who, I mean, she's a former women's champ. She's on the main card. She's a good performer. She hasn't been rumored to be in any kind of a match with anybody.
No.
But now she's got history with Ronda. Natalya has history with Shayna Baszler. If Ronda is back healthy for WrestleMania, possible tag match, Liv and Natalya versus Shayna and Ronda.
I don't think, because Natalya is running around with I can't remember her name, the blonde girl. I think she's a blonde girl.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
So to tag her up with Liv Morgan, and now maybe you could have the other one just outside the ring for support or whatever, but I can't see it happening. If you're gonna put that kind of match together with Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, I can't see it, but you never know. It could happen.
The only reason that I was thinking that it could is because both Liv and Natalya, they both have history with both Ronda and Shane. So, but I mean, like you said, I mean, Ronda Rousey, how do you leave her off of the WrestleMania card?
If she is hurt, like I said, it's not confirmed, but it's not denied either. There's some people saying, oh, it's just a work, but there's rumblings that she does have a bum arm. But now she's still got 3 weeks to heal up, so we'll see. But that would be a wicked match. If you put her and Shayna Baszler against Liv Morgan and Natalya, yes, that would be an absolutely wicked match. And hopefully Liv wears those shorts that she wore at Elimination Chamber. God almighty. Anyway, roll tide. What else
But
do you got for me?
that's all I've got for now, man. Um,
Like I say, it's
yeah,
hard. There's not a lot to talk about because they're not really giving us a lot. There's a lot of guessing and a few things, like I said, that are kind of obvious that are going to happen, but they're staying pretty tight-lipped about it.
they really are. And you said it before. I mean, we're getting pretty close. Like, and I know it's SoFi Stadium is pretty much sold out. I think they did hold back a few hundred tickets, maybe a few thousand tickets. But if you want this place to be 100% sold out, give the fans a card that they're going to want to see.
Yeah, it's so far, this is just my opinion, it's kind of underwhelming for a WrestleMania.
Yeah,
To me, that's just my opinion. I mean, the main event is going to be but again, like I said, I'm not sold on Cody, and I honestly don't get the connection with the fans. I really, really don't why he's so over, but that's just me. I still think, and you know what? Maybe it'll blow the roof off the place. Who knows? But I just, it's underwhelming. It's a very underwhelming card so far. Like, you've got 2 women's championship matches announced, and you've got the
yep.
world title. There's no talk about the tag team titles, but now they could still be building that up. And that's going to go, we've talked about that. That's going to go in a direction. That could go in 5 different directions. You've got the Intercontinental title. Still, there's still so much. I just wish we had more to talk about.
Well, and I mean, with Monday night coming up, I mean, we've I think they said that there's still at least 11 different shows between now and Mania. So we're going to get something else. It's just a matter of what.
Yeah. And are they going to bring in someone? Because they usually bring an old timer in, or some kind of legend, or a famous somebody to be involved as an attraction match.
I was going to ask you, who, like, aside from the potential of Cena, getting booked into that U.S. title match, what other former big names do you see maybe coming back, even if it's just for an appearance?
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't even guess because I don't know who would fit. And like normally, if someone's like on the mic and they're shooting, or it's a work, bro. They always drop hints, so they'll insult some talent or mention somebody's name. That hasn't happened. I mean, aside from John Cena and Austin Theory, no one else is really talking about anyone. Wrestlers or stars, aside from Logan Paul.
Here's something for you. So it would have been back in either the end of October or possibly mid-November. That's when Orton went and he had his spinal fusion done. His career was up in the air.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't know, like, is he going to have to just call it? Because I mean, we're talking about a spinal fusion on somebody who literally throws himself around the ring for a living. Don't know what the time period is on a spinal fusion in the back. A neck spinal fusion, that's at least a minimum 6 to 9 months before you can even start training again.
Yeah.
About a month ago, I saw a picture of Randy Orton, and the guy is looking jacked. Fast forward to probably about 2 weeks ago. Apparently, Orton's already been in contact with his boot maker, and he's got new boots being made. Do we possibly see Orton coming back at WrestleMania?
I would love to see that. I don't know where you put him, but I'd love to see him back. You know who I can't wait to come back to? Is the Stoner.
Riddle?
I like Matt Riddle. He makes me laugh.
Apparently, there are absolutely no plans for him at WrestleMania. He's not out of the WWE. He's just not listed as being on the active roster because he has to go through whatever it is. It's like the employment program for people with addictions or whatever it is.
Is this a legit thing? I never heard this.
Oh yeah. After him and Orton dropped the tag belts, that's when Randy went to go see the specialist to figure out what's going on with his back. He ended up getting busted, or he ended up testing positive, I guess, for cocaine.
Riddle did.
Riddle did.
Wow.
And
I
that's
did not
why
know that.
yeah, that's why he's been out of the show for a little bit.
I thought he was injured. I had no idea it had to do with drugs.
At first, I heard that it was an injury, but then the more that he wasn't showing up, they weren't talking about it and all this kind of stuff. And again, I can't remember the site that I saw it on Instagram. It might be Fightful. It might be one of the other wrestling feeds that show up on my timeline. But it was confirmed that he ended up testing positive for a controlled substance, and he had to go into like the employee assistance program.
Wow, I honestly had no idea, but I guess yeah, they're not gonna come out if he just kind of disappears. They're not gonna say, yeah, he's a cokehead. They're gonna say, yeah, he's out with a fucking upper body injury, like whatever. And then after a while, when fans or people want to know, okay, well, here's the deal, blah blah blah. So that makes sense. Wow, I had no idea about that. I never even heard of it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. Now, keep in mind, I haven't heard or seen anything about it since. It was like it was here today and gone tomorrow.
Right.
So whether or not, I mean, they were saying that it was confirmed. I've never seen anything else about it. But if he did have to go into some kind of like a help program, that would make sense why he would be staying away from the business for so long.
Well, God knows Randy Orton had his issues too. He's been suspended 2 or 3 times for whether it be steroids or testing positive for other drugs. So, but I don't remember him being out this long. Like there's like, I think it goes 30 days, 60 days. After 60 days, it could be 90. But you get like 4 attempts before they finally say, all right, you're done. Go, you're fired.
Yep.
They're pretty lenient that way. But I think if you get busted a second time and you're suspended 60 days, that's when they strongly suggest, and it's basically, if you want to keep your job, do this, they put you in that program. I had no idea that, and they might have changed it too. I didn't know. I guess it depends on the drug. Like cocaine's a hell of a drug. So I guess, yeah, if you test positive and you're suspended right off the bat, yeah, you better go get help because your job's kind of on the line.
Apparently, this isn't the first time that he's been caught with a controlled substance.
Really?
I don't know the WWE's stance on marijuana, cannabis. I don't know their stance on that, where it is legal pretty much in most of the states now. But yeah, if he was nailed with a controlled substance and he tested positive on a piss test, then that would explain why he hasn't been on the scene for quite some time.
You know what? Once we're done with this, now I want to look into the WWE wellness policy, because I remember now years ago when Rob Van Dam became WWE champion, he only had that belt like a month and he tested positive for marijuana. Ooh, marijuana. And they stripped him of the belt and suspended him for 30 days or 60 days, and his career never recovered from it. He still did okay for himself, but to strip the guy over some pot?
The devil's lettuce.
Yeah, like seriously, like over pot. Like there are guys popping pills and drinking like there's no tomorrow. Did you ever go to a football game and see 2 drunk guys screaming at you, hey, yeah, what do you want? Hey, did you ever see 2 guys stoned at a football game? Hey, what's up? That's all you're going to get. Like, I don't know. But I want to take a look at their wellness policy and download it and see if marijuana is still controlled. But I want to see how it works too. Like, obviously they look for cocaine and all those hardcore drugs, but I want to see the steps that have to be taken to kind of get you back after you're suspended or be in the situation that Riddle is in. It'd be interesting to see, because I never, and I'm sure they've done amendments to it as far as the marijuana goes, because I mean, for God's sake, it's pot. Yeah. Like it's better for you than alcohol or Tylenol. Like, no, that's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. I had no idea about any of that.
Because, yeah, I mean, someone else had commented on this article and said, like, so, if both him and Orton are on kind of like the same time frame, can we see a return of RK Bro around WrestleMania? And someone else had commented and basically said RK Bro will never be a thing ever again. Randy may not ever even wrestle again because of back.
Yep.
But now, I mean, with the news of him getting new boots made up. I mean, mid-November, talking December, January, February, March, April. That's about a 5-month span. And like I said, he's looking jacked, man. Like he doesn't look like he was the trimmed down version of Randy Orton before he went away. Like he looks big. He looks like he's been training.
I'm
Now,
gonna have to look for pictures of him online too.
weight room training and mat training, two totally different things.
Oh, it's gonna take him if he comes back. You can ride all the stationary bikes you want, and you can run on all the treadmills you want and lift all the weights you want until you get in that ring and start running those ropes. And then on top of that, start picking guys up and slamming them and jumping around. It's going to take him a month or two to get his wind back, at least.
At least. And he's almost going to have to learn to take a bump again. You know, like what can he do? What can he have done to him?
Oh, and that's the thing, that he'll be spending a lot of time at the Performance Center. They're going to watch that pretty intensely, because especially like a spinal fusion, that's some pretty serious shit.
Now, I mean, they could easily bring him back to work the mic and start building up an angle with somebody.
That could, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
There's nothing to stop them from doing that. I mean, is it a 6-month period for a spinal fusion in the back? I don't know. I'm only going off of what I had heard about Eichel when he was going to have disc replacement or spinal fusion. Spinal fusion was a 9-month recovery before you can even get back in the weight room or even get on the ice to just skating by yourself. And that's as long as you're healing properly. With a disc replacement, I think he was off the ice for about a 2, maybe 3-week period, and then he was back skating.
Yeah, and this isn't skating. This isn't ballet. This is picking guys up and throwing them on a wooden mat or a concrete floor. So, yeah.
Exactly. You know, like what kind of damage is it going to do to his back? Will he be able to perform? Will he be able to move the way that he used to be able to in the ring before the surgery? And I think they're going to have to take a long, good, hard look at that. And I mean, okay, you can always make the excuse for Ric Flair. He broke his back in how many places during that plane crash?
3 spots, I believe it was.
Was never supposed to wrestle ever again. And the guy went on to wrestle, another 30 years or so, 40 years.
And 16 championships.
Yep. So, I mean, keep in mind, too, the medical stuff that we knew back then, totally different from what we know now, and the equipment is totally different.
That's right.
So are they able to get a better look at how his back is doing post-fusion? More than likely.
It'd be nice to see him make an appearance at WrestleMania if he's able to.
Just, yeah, I mean...
just so the fans... I mean, wrestling fans have a long memory, but it'd be nice, just put him in there and give him a little pop, like... It'd be nice to put him in there. Because he hasn't been on television in months.
5-6 months. Since him and Riddle dropped the tag straps.
Yeah.
At least bring him back to, like you said, get a little pop from the crowd. The fans, I think the fans they would go nuts over that.
Oh, they go crazy. Guaranteed.
If he just shows up out of the blue with no rumor whatsoever of him showing up, oh, the fans would lap that up, man.
Randy Orton could retire tomorrow, and the next day he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I'd say.
I mean, the guy is, a 11, 12-time world champion?
Something like that.
That's not counting tag titles, intercontinental titles. I mean, he's won the Royal Rumble a few times. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. His old man was a good wrestler.
Yep.
But his old man couldn't lace his boots.
No.
Randy Orton's in his own. But I hope it'd be nice if he shows up at WrestleMania. I'm not holding my breath on it now, but we'll see.
I got one more for you.
Yep.
And I'm going to rewind again and go back to that first match we talked about. Cody and Reigns. If Cody does win, does he bring back the Winged Eagle?
I don't think
There will be one belt.
I don't think it would be the original Winged Eagle, like the one we grew up on. It would almost be like a hybrid version. I would love to see the original, and the WWE make a killing off it. They've already made a killing off of the new one that they just came out with the sidebars attached. They made a killing off of that. Fans have been wanting the winged eagle back for years.
Oh yeah.
And it has nothing to do with copyrights or anything like that, because they came out and made this version that they just came out with. And they were making versions before that. There's no reason why they couldn't come back with the winged eagle. Do they? I'm going to say a version of the winged eagle, not the original. That's my guess if Cody wins the belt. And I think it'll take... I think if it was going to happen, I say it's already made, and he would come out Monday night and show it off.
Kind of do what he did whenever he won the IC belt.
Yeah. That's what I think. But I don't think it's going to be... I would love to see it be the exact winged eagle, but I don't... It'll be similar, but it won't be the actual winged eagle. Because they've been talking about changing the belts from that stupid logo for a while now, which they never went to. I still find it funny that Bret Hart called the championships that they have now ugly pieces of crap. Which he's not wrong. He's completely right. Wrong.
I mean, that's the thing, man. I mean, and we've already done a show about belts, and I don't want to go too deep down that rabbit hole. But when you look back on the 80s, the 90s, even the early 2000s championships, they were all different. They were all unique. They all carried a certain, what's the word I'm looking for? They all had their own different character. Yes. Like the Winged Eagle. You know, you saw that, you think of Macho, you think of Hogan, you think of Flair, you think of Warrior, you think of Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Diesel. You look at these things and it's like, it's a logo.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you go back on the Intercontinental belt. You had Macho, you had Tito Santana, Ricky Steamboat, Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect. Like, the list goes on and on. You look at this thing that Gunter has, and it's like...
It's an abortion.
Is that the lid to, like, a crock pot? Like...
Yeah, it's horrible. It is absolutely horrible. When they first came out with that, I think every wrestling fan in the entire world went, what the fuck?
Yep. That's probably the underlying reason too that I want Cody to win at Mania, is because if he can bring back the Eagle or something very, very, very similar to it, it would bring a different persona to what holding that belt would be. Because now it's just like, okay, you've got a belt that looks the same, you've got a belt that looks the same. The women's titles look the exact same as the men's.
Yeah.
Like, there's no individuality with them.
There's absolutely not.
If Cody can pull this up, that's what I'm looking forward to. Not necessarily his title run, but I'd love to see him bring back that original design or something.
You said that perfectly. You said it perfectly. I was trying to come up with something to say, like, I don't get him with the belt and it wouldn't make sense, but if he wins it and brings back the Winged Eagle, okay, that would be cool and I can get behind that. Wouldn't care about his title run, but I care about the belt. You nailed it. You reached into my guts and you took the words right out.
I mean, like, where it's been probably about 2 years since I've gotten back into watching it, and, you know, look forward to watching Raw, look forward to watching the pay-per-views, you know, look forward to watching SmackDown every week. I think bringing that belt back, it would be a breath of fresh air into the company.
Of course it would, and it makes the champion look better. It
does. Instead of having fucking 16 different titles that all look the same.
Yes. Thank you.
It just the current belts, it waters down the meaning of the championship to me.
It does. There's been a debate for years. Does the man make the belt or does the belt make the man? And in this case, it's neither, because, I mean, it's still symbolic because it's a championship, but it's an ugly championship. It's a W.
It looks like a fucking 5-year-old with a bedazzler machine got a hold of a strip of leather and just punched a bunch of fucking jewels on it. That's all it is in the form of a W.
Yep, I agree.
It drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely nuts. If they can bring back something that looks a little bit more iconic, it'll bring meaning back to the belt.
I said this is going to be, so far, it's like a very underwhelming, mediocre WrestleMania so far. Yep. But if Cody does win, by some chance he wins, and then Monday night he comes out with the original Winged Eagle, then I will consider it one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. There you have it, another interview in the books. My name is Doug. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Figure Four podcast, and we will talk to you again after WrestleMania. Have a good one, guys.